Welcome to the Ausländer. So, welcome to a new episode of the Ausländer. For these people who is new, and it's coming to this second season of the podcast, the Ausländer. It's a podcast that started in the times of COVID, let's say like this, in a moment where people were not able to travel, people were not able to move, and the idea was to try to bring people who has lived outside of their country for a period of time, more than 6 months, generically, and so they can explain us what are their experiences, what they have lived in these countries, and check with them what forced them to go there, but also why they stayed during the COVID times, of course. Also, how was the situation at that point of time in the cities or the countries that we were living. But it grown up until a second season. So today I'm really, really happy to have here with me Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Laura, it's originally from Barcelona, as me. You lived in London and then currently living in Berlin, correct?
Yes, correct.
So we know each other from Juanca, so your current boyfriend, and your boyfriend is ex-colleague of mine of work, ex-friend, colleague, also in Frankfurt in Germany, ex-guest of the Ausländer also as an episode on the first season. Yeah, I love to have you because I think you will bring a different perspective from Berlin also than Juanca had in his episode probably. So you are a fashion designer and sustainability consultant right now.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, go on, please.
I'm a fashion designer by background. I've been in the industry for roughly 7 years. But 2 years ago, 2 years and a half, I decided to quit my job in Barcelona. And I decided enough is enough. I cannot keep, feeding this industry, at least the way I'm doing it right now. Mm-hmm. And I need to take proper action. So I quit my job and I decided to start a master's degree in sustainability in fashion and creative industries. And I moved to Berlin. That's why I'm here. So since then on, it was a 2 years master's and I moved here and starts a new career path, basically.
So you ended in Berlin basically to do the master itself?
Yes. I think I was considering London and Berlin, but the masters were very different. And also, Juanca was already currently living in Germany back then in Frankfurt. So then, I guess it was a sum of different things that made it possible. And I don't know, in the end, I realized Berlin was the place I wanted to be.
Cool. Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. As far as I remember from another conversation that we have, actually, when you went to London, so you were born in Barcelona, raised up in Barcelona. You went to London because of studies also?
London was, it was a studies and working.
Okay.
So I was there for almost a year, but not a year.
Yeah. Okay. Then you went back to Barcelona before going to Berlin. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. I think I was then in Barcelona for 3 years and then I moved to Berlin. Yes. And now it's been 3 years already.
Time flies, and with COVID, I think nobody realized the 2 last years has been okay, they happened.
Yes, exactly. Okay, almost 3 years. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So London. Let's talk. Let's try to do it chronologically wise. So when did you go to London exactly?
I think was by the end of 2015. And I think it was very spontaneous, but at the same time, I always wanted to live in London. Actually, I wouldn't mind moving right now to London, although the situation is not the greatest right now. But it was at my cousin's wedding, and another cousin of mine, she was going to London, and she was like, Laura, you've always dreamt of going to London. I think right now this is the place to be. Just come with me. And she was looking already for an apartment because she was about to study a master's degree. And she said, like, hey, Laura, I found a room for you. So just move with me. And yeah, and back then I was looking for internships and just, finding my way in the industry. And I thought, why not? I love London. I just, just try it out. And I went there, and and it was one of the best times. Yeah, best times in London. Really, really enjoyed. Yeah. So I ended up living with my cousin and another 4 flatmates.
Cousin plus 4. That's quite a lot of people for a shared flat, but we all know the situation of searching for a flat in London. I think we will need to talk about this also because
I think it's a very, very complex topic. Let's leave it like this. It's no, but it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah.
So eventually you were still studying in the university back at the time, like bachelor's or?
It was by the time, because I graduated in 2014, and then when I finished, I was again like doing more internships, and also I started my own. It was not a label, but I just wanted to reuse and upcycle the waste that I generated with my graduation collection. So out of these, I ended up creating kind of my own swimwear label. So then when I moved to London, I was working with another fashion designer and at the same time still running my own project, which was, I think in the end, I can call it successful because I ended up covering the costs of my graduation collection. Okay. Plus also, I think I did a great job, but it was not, let's say, really well planned because it was, again, just using the ways that I had. So then in London, I was doing this, and then also studying at the same time and doing an internship. Yeah. And I ended up working as a freelancer by, I think, the last 4 or 5 months that I was in London with the same designer. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But eventually so all of this was still like in the section of fashion design, 100%. You were
yes.
So you never start with the sustainability part. I mean, besides reusing the wasting of your graduation itself, which is already
it's already. I think that back then I didn't know that I was already doing something. I was upcycling, and reusing. But I think this sustainability mindset, I think I can, go back in time, and I think that I already had it at the very beginning, the early stage of my career. But I think I was just like, I needed to go through this journey and experience and just working at certain companies as well to realize the things that I don't like about the industry and the things that need to be changed. And I guess I've reached my tipping point on my last job, which had very wonderful things, very wonderful people, but some things that I was like, enough. I think I just needed to go through these, different experiences to realize that I needed to change.
It makes a lot of sense. So I think a lot of people, which I include myself, we pass through some years where you need to become like someone in some of the big corporations to have some kind of CV, let's say like this, or part of the curriculum, part of experience at the end in a market that it's absolutely crazy for all of the kind of designs. I think eventually they are requesting you to be a senior designer from the very beginning when you're going out of the university, so you don't have real experience. And it's sometimes funny just to see the I don't know, the post on LinkedIn or the job offers where they are saying, okay, you need to be 23 years old with 6 years of experience in your life. And I'm just like, yeah, 6 years ago, I was just going out of school, so of primary school. So definitely not having 6 years of work experience. But yeah, so yeah, London based. Which part of London were you living back then?
East London.
Okay.
In Bethnal Green.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, near Shoreditch as well. So it's not, I'd say, if you're traveling, just visiting, you know, London is not an area that you'll go and visit, you know. So I think it's more, yeah, you just get to know East London probably when you go to certain markets. Otherwise, if you're, you know, just visiting someone who's living there, yeah. But I really like.
How hard it was to enter to the life in London, because it's a big city. So eventually finding people, finding friends, finding like a kind of group in these big cities can be either really fast and really easy to do, or it takes way too long. Yeah.
I think I was very lucky. I think for me, London is one of my favorite cities. And it was, I don't know, I would say it was very easy, very smooth. I I I went to so many different events, and also I think because I think this also really helped. I was, as I said, like sharing this flat with 4 different flatmates. One of them was my cousin, and she was studying a master's degree. So then I automatically, you know, became part of this master group. So I was like, yeah, with them, hanging out with them. Then also with the fashion designer I was working with. Then we were like roughly 9 or 10 interns. So again, more people. Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's a different story, but it was big. And then I don't know, just like randomly found out that friends, childhood friends, or let's say teenage friends, were living there. I was like, wow. So I ended up, as you say, a really big city. I ended up connecting with people that I've met when I was 15. And it was beautiful. And then out of these relationships, I met more friends and more friends. So I think London was an explosion of friendships, new friendships, and exploring many different artistic and cultural events. And I think this really helped out. But I know that it's, as any other big city, can be very challenging, and you can feel very small and very isolated. But I think I was very lucky in that sense.
I mean, definitely there is a big point when, so because it's kind of normal that, for example, for your cousin, you're going to study, you have like, you know, that you will have classmates, which is never the same relation than working colleagues.
Exactly.
And eventually what it's going there is that you will have some group, and you are reassured when you are going out for studies most of the time that you will have someone around. When you go to work and you go on your own, especially, it's just like, it's the jungle. Okay, you just need to find where you like more or less fit and enter groups that they are already created somehow, and most of the times they are already friends much before you. So you arrive to that city, so you try to enter somehow into already created groups. So I can imagine that for you, the reassurance or the security of having or going there directly with your cousin, it's also like an advantage.
Definitely. It was very helpful in many ways. And also feeling that there's, you know, a family member next. I mean, and I really like, I think it's one of my, you know, we get along very well. So I think having someone that you know very well living with you, you know, it was a safe operation space in a way, you know, it was like a bubble. So it really helped out. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, just as in a small detail, might be the first episode of the Auslander that we are not drinking alcohol, which is nice. Laura, it's not a really strong drinker, let's say like this at all. So favorite drink, it's tea. I think you're drinking a much more green tea than me. I suppose you drink.
Is a hardcore version of tea. So this has probably even more caffeine than coffee. So yeah,
Is that the strategy of like, I arrived to the limit of coffee doesn't do anything to me anymore, and now I drink tea, hardcore tea, or?
Well, I think it's more of a complicated story. So the thing is that I hate coffee, and I'm sorry
Mhm.
for everyone. 99% of the population probably love coffee, but I can't even stand the smell of coffee. I can't.
Mm.
I've tried. I can't. I've tried many, pastries or different things with coffee. I can't. The only thing is tiramisu, but not much. So I discovered tea many years ago. I think, I don't know if it was like, I don't know. I started loving tea, let's say, when I was 13, I think, or 14.
Mm.
And yes, and I love it, and I love any kind of tea. Yes, so that's my story. Yeah, I
Do you
basically
miss?
never tried coffee properly.
Yeah, that's okay. Also, I mean, I think there is a lot of people drinking coffee just because of the thing that keeps you awake theoretically,
But that's the thing.
rather than loving the taste or whatever. You see these people putting like 3 spoons of sugar inside of the coffee, then you are not liking coffee, you are liking sugar. But
Then you have an addiction, and for me, tea is not an addiction. Like, I just drink tea whenever I feel like it, but not
Mm.
because I'm like, oh, I feel sleepy, I need tea. It's just like, it's more like a ceremony.
Yeah.
It feels like, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, that's a different
Yeah, that
topic.
sounded really British. So the ceremony of tea.
I think it matches. I think it matches again my love for the British culture, but
Mm,
it's not. I'd never thought of this way. I also love Japanese culture, but anyway, yes. So I'm drinking matcha, by the way, right
nice.
now. Matcha tea.
Cool. So, do you miss the tea from London?
I miss the tea time. So just
Yeah.
knowing that you can meet someone and just say, "Hey, shall we, meet for a cup of tea?" Whereas like here, I think I've never had anyone, unless they're a very good friend of mine. Then they'll probably know, like, "Hey, Laura, let's go for a cup of tea." I mean, just like as a joke. Otherwise, it's like you would either say, "Let's go for a beer" or "Let's go for a coffee." But for me, I always say, like, yeah, sure, let's go for a cup of tea. Just like following the joke, because I don't know. I think it's just an assumption that we just, yeah, we make. We think that, of course, majority of the population likes drinking beer or coffee. Therefore, we assume that this person will like drinking one or the other. So
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I suppose like in Berlin, there is starting to be like some of these tea nice places also where
yes,
you can
I'm
go.
trying to discover these places, and they exist. They exist.
Because I think being together with you and Juanca, only in Barcelona we went to one of this Japanese place, I
Uh,
think.
Ochiai,
Yeah,
Takio.
I think.
Yeah.
Ochi. Yeah, it's funny, but I've been with you two guys in the 3 cities that you lived. We were together in London,
That's
and
true. That's true.
we've been in Berlin together, and of course we have been in Barcelona together. So that's kind of funny. I I I really appreciated the last time that I was in London with you guys because you knew where to go. I mean, you as an insider who has been there, it was really nice because it was for me like the fifth time or sixth time that I was in London, but recurrently you don't go out of these kind of touristic areas. And suddenly you said, no, let's grab an apartment in Hackney. And we were discovering the whole Hackney City Farm, the Hackney Market, the flower markets, all this that it's not known by tourists. And actually, when I came back to London afterwards with Catherine, uh, alone, we rented again apartment in Hackney just to do more or less the same that we did with you guys. So it's kind of funny, like I really appreciated that there was someone who knew the city in that sense, which leads to my next question.
Sure.
It's it was something that someone from your group bring to you, or you discovered this part of London by yourself, like, okay, let's try to discover London outside of, because you said less than 1 year in London, there is people that in 1 year or 2 years doesn't discover the alternative parts, non-touristic parts of the city that they live. But you did.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, I think it was mostly because my cousin, she was, as far as I remember, I think she was in a rush. She desperately needed to find an apartment and it was a nightmare. And I remember one day she was like, I'm fighting with 10 or 20 more people here in an apartment, just, fighting for 2 rooms. You want one? I was like, yeah, sure. So I think I was just, very open to live anywhere in London, as long as it was in London.
Yeah.
And she found this apartment that happened to be around Bethnal Green. And that was it. And I think, and then she just told me what was, really how the neighborhood was like, what was nearby. And I knew about Shoreditch and other parts of London. And because I already knew some friends that were living in London, I think it was a mixture of both. So just, the situation of the flood, plus also just friends telling me, hey, I think, Laura, you're going to love this part of London. So I think it was mostly this, like, combination of both.
Cool.
But yes, as you're right, I was living there, roughly 11 months or something like that. And I think it felt like 2 years, you know what I mean? So, and whereas like here in Berlin, finally I'm feeling that I'm discovering Berlin, and I've been here for 3 years. Yeah. But again, pandemic in between. It's not
COVID,
the same.
Quarantine.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Before we jump maybe from London to Berlin, I always like to ask this kind of question. I put a little bit like people into the not the best position, let's say like that. Do you have any memory in the sense of the best moment that you had in London, in a sense of like, wow, this moment was amazing, and then absolutely opposite, what was one of the hardest moments for you in London?
I can clearly, I can go for like the hardest moments. I think for me was living in London. I remember it was like, it was not a great moment, because it was, I think I just like, I was trying to, right after this freelance work, I was looking for other jobs within the fashion industry, and it was very, very challenging to me, for me. And also London is extremely expensive. So then I put a deadline, I said like, if I don't find anything, within this space, which means like in the fashion industry, I'll have to go back home. So, because I don't want and I can't afford living here. So then, yes, I reached that deadline, and I was, it was me, basically. It was not my family or friends. It was like me. It was like, I'll have to go back home. Cannot afford living here. And I don't want to end up working on whatever, job, because I really want to, continue this path within the industry. And then, yes, I had to go back home, and that was really tough. And that was very, very one of the, hardest moments. And then the best, I think, one of the best, it's difficult to pick one, but one of the best was when I met Luke Dixon, which is a local beekeeper, urban beekeeper in London, and also a theatre director. I just randomly, so you haven't mentioned this yet. I'm bringing this topic right now.
Sure.
But besides, I'm a beekeeper. I'm obsessed, and I've been working with beekeeping associations for many years. And in London, it is allowed to have, you can have bees and beehives in the city. So by the time my internship was finishing and I was looking for like other jobs, I had plenty of time. So my first idea was like, amazing. Now let's try to reach out to beekeeping associations, trying to find local beekeepers. And I met Luke. And one day we went for a cup of tea, and it was a very magical moment. And he said, Laura, you just do you want to become my assistant, beekeeping assistant? I said, yes. And we ended up for a month and a half or something, going to one of the most wonderful sites in London. Like we went to the rooftop of the British Museum, like the Cordon Bleu, like many universities. It was so cool. Like with his motorbike, bringing queen bees in the, in behind, I don't know how you call it, like this box that you hold, that you have behind your motorbike. And it was so cool. Just like, to me was I don't know, it was meant to happen. It was wonderful, and we're still very good friends. Like I'm going to London like in August, and we already have arranged seeing each other, so that's really cool.
That's really cool. It's a good it's a good story. I mean, bringing bees into a motorbike box from the rooftop of the British Museum to other buildings. That's kind of funny, like the police stops you. What do you have in the back of your motorbike? Bees.
Queen bees. So we had
bees,
tiny little and we had all the queen bees like buzzing around, and I was like, oh, this is a dream. But yeah. I guess this is a very unconventional topic, but I just wanted to bring this up. I think it was a very magical experience. Yeah,
it's nice. I mean, you don't know. I mean, at least I don't know that many people who does beekeeping in general. Like, I think you are the only person that I know that actively does beekeeping. Like, I know people who try it and know people who went into trying to enter to these kind of associations and whatever, but that it's actively for so long doing it. I think you are the only person that I know, and it's really interesting. I think we need to do a short break because of the time thingy of this amazing platform that I will not say their name to not make a sponsorship if they don't pay. So maybe we do a break and we just come back again.
Perfect. Okay. See you then.
Hey there, everyone. Today I want to bring to you and talk about one of the products that I've been using for quite some time now. If you're a person like me who spends quite some time in front of the computers and you start having headaches, migraines, or problem with the visions like tiredness, I want to recommend you these glasses that I'm just wearing right now. They are from a company called Barner. Barner is from Barcelona, so it's from home. That's how I get to know them. What these glasses do, it's mainly deflecting the blue light that the screens are generating. So it's the same blue light that generates the tiredness in the eyes and in the end having migraines or headaches. It really works. At least it worked for me for quite some time right now. And I really get the benefit of not having the headaches and migraines after work. They have a lot of colors, a lot of different models. It's really nice, the kind of different shapes and colors and materials that they are using, so you can choose whatever you really want and fits you. And on top of that, of course, they have glasses for persons like me who doesn't need a prescription, but if you already have some other visual problems and you need the glasses with prescription, of course, they also offer that and you can select them. So yeah. Besides that, you have a discount code just here below, and you can enter through the webpage or link here. Use the coupon code that I would be posting down here, and yeah, get your glasses, protect your eyes, and keep rolling. If you are currently searching for a new way of protecting your PC, Mac, or smartphone, I want to really recommend you Avast. Avast is a company that provides software of protection for your day life. And specifically, I want to promote one of the products that they have for both home and office edition, which is Avast One. Avast One is an in-all-one service that provides different kind of protection, which includes antivirus, of course, data breach monitoring, unlimited VPN, anti-tracking software, and even device cleanup functionality, all in a single package coming all together. You have a 30 days policy of money back also included in this package if you are not convinced about it, but you probably will be knowing how the software works. And on top of that, right now worldwide, Avast is offering a 50% discount on this Avast One product. So if you are interested in this product, you can just check the link below. You click it, you will be redirected directly to the website where this discount is already applied, and there you go, all protected. So welcome back. Small interruption. We were just talking about beekeeping and London. I know that you actively beekeep in close to Barcelona and Montseny. Did you do that before going to London, or you started when you came back from London, the beekeeping in Barcelona?
It was right afterwards when I came back to Barcelona. I was like, okay, I need to just now start an apiary of my own. So that's what I did. My grandma's together with my dad. Yeah,
nice.
Family thing.
That's cool. Eventually, you came back to Barcelona, as you were saying, because London is expensive. If you didn't find any job, you put your deadline to yourself to say, okay, if I find something, I will love to stay in London, but I can arrive until here economically wise, let's say like this. So you came back to Barcelona without having a job in Barcelona, or you already did some interviews and you know that you were coming back with job at home, or you started the process of searching?
Without. So I moved back to Barcelona, and then I started, as you said, like applying, interviews, and so on. Yeah, and I think it lasted for like 2 months or 1 month, and then I found the job that I was there for like 3 years till I moved then to Berlin. Yeah.
So you said that was the 3 years job time that you were in Barcelona.
Yeah, it was this one.
Then you just decided to quit that job at that point of time because you were not really believing. I mean, you liked the environment, as far as I understood. You liked some of the colleagues, you liked some of the aspects, but there was too much charge on the sustainability part with the whole big brand thing.
Let's say I was working for one of the largest retailers in the fashion industry. And then, yes, of course, then you have all the resources, but then at the same time, you just see the bigger picture, So then that was a turning point, definitely.
I mean, it's an ethical discussion, no? At the end, also, I suppose. Why a double jump? So I think when you are in this situation, in that case for you, it was like, okay, you could have quit that job and try to find something more sustainable or more into the direction of what you liked it also in Barcelona. But
I'm not, I could have, but I feel, and Barcelona, to be honest, Spain in general is far behind other countries, considering UK, considering Germany. So it is even much more difficult to find, opportunities within the sustainability space in the fashion industry in Spain. So it's already challenging anywhere, but there even more. And for me, I ended up working for this larger retailer because it's if you're a fashion designer and you're working in Barcelona, either you have your own brand or you work for really, really small labels, which I've done in the past, and I loved working there. But then, I don't know. It's a really big topic, and it's very complicated and complex to understand. But anyway, yes, I could have done this, but I think for me it was much bigger than that. For me, it was more like, do I really want to keep feeding this industry from a designer perspective? Just like I ended up being fed up designing, for like the sake of designing and putting thousands, millions of garments out there, but probably many of them were really nice, probably, but anyway, most of them end up in landfills. So I think I had a bit of a, crisis, internal crisis, also a hate towards the industry and towards this, blinded and vision of basically following this frantic rhythm of creation and exploiting designers and so on, designers, workers, and this is a really big topic, but I was like, enough. I have the tools, I have the knowledge. Why not trying to bring these that I already know, learn much more of on the other side of the spectrum. That's why I wanted to study a master's degree in sustainability, to bring these two worlds together. And now I'm in this position of what can I do with my design background and my sustainability background / mindset, whatever. So that's what I think this is a very powerful combination. But yeah, we just need to make a change. We need to reimagine the industry.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So you had your goal clear in that sense. You had your idea clear of what you wanted to achieve at somehow. What is surprising for me is that you do a change of life in the sense of like, okay, I quit a job, I change of city, I go back to studying. So it's not one simple thing of saying, okay, I'm quitting my job and I just like say, okay, I will search something in the same city where I am, where my family is, whatever. I know that, eventually Juanca was in Germany. So I suppose it also helped quite a lot to do the change city-wise, let's say. To go with someone, with your partner, it's much more easy than going 100% alone. But going back after 3 years of working to study, how was that? Like,
if you count, like after many years of like working, since 2014 till 2019, I was like working, like a freelancer, internship, whatever. But yes, going back to studying, I loved it, because in a way, and that's part of, I think it's something that now it will be easier for you to make the connection. When I was in London, one option was either I find a job or either I find a master's degree. So I really, this idea of continuing with my studies or like looking for other different studies, complementing my background with different studies, it was already there. So, but the thing was that there were too many options out there. I even went to, that was crazy, but I don't know why. I always been, very, not obsessed, but I've always loved archaeology, and I thought this is so interesting. Or how can I learn more about archaeology, but from a textile perspective? Maybe becoming a curator, maybe like a how's it called, like preserving textiles or something like that. But also costume design. So in London, I think I was exposed to so many different things that I was a bit lost in terms of what kind of which is the right master's degree for me. And I couldn't find it. I couldn't make up my mind and say, okay, this one. I even went to a university of archaeology, and yeah, anyway, that's a long story. I love to talk a lot. But anyway, so the idea of continuing my studies or like exploring other paths that would complement my previous experience, I think it was already there. So that's why when I had another, of these moments in which I'm just thinking of my life, my past, my present, and my future, I thought, I think this is the right. I was looking for a master. This feels like the right master, and everything was also very smooth. So I was like, I just go with my gut feeling. I think this is it. This is what I've been looking for, and now it's ready, and the industry is getting there. So that's why.
Sorry,
like too long.
No. Come on. This podcast is for the guests, not for me to talk too much. So it was the correct moment to do that. I think when you come to Athens, we need to present you our neighbor. She's an archaeologist specialized in textiles. So PhD professor, and so sure you will like her, I think. Eventually, so you applied for the master and you waited until you were accepted in the master to go to Berlin, or you came before to Berlin and then get accepted to it?
Okay, I'm going to tell you this story and I'll try to keep it brief. But the thing was that, as I told you before, I was between a master's degree in London, studying the master's degree in Berlin, because there were two very interesting masters and very different masters. And then there was, Frank and we were traveling to London for I think a weekend, and then I was already, looking for other masters, talking to some of my friends that were still in London, so looking for opportunities, still job opportunities there. So I was trying to go back to London, still in Barcelona, but and then my flight was delayed. So because Franco was going back to Frankfurt, and my flight back to Barcelona was delayed for 2 hours. And while I was there, just behind me, while I was looking at the big screen, a really good friend of my sister was there with some friends. She's like, "Hey Laura, what are you doing here?" Her flight, of course, was also delayed. And we ended up going somewhere, having some drinks. And then I don't know, I just told her, I guess, how I was feeling, the ideas that I had in mind. And she was like, "Laura, I think this is an amazing decision." And I actually happened to know someone who did a master's degree in sustainability in Berlin. So sorry, I back then I didn't know about the master's degree in Berlin. So she was the one who brought, the topic of hey, you might consider Berlin. It's much cheaper as well. Plus this and that, and because she's half German, and then I spent the rest of, I think, of my time, researching about the masters while I was in the plane. I was like, this sounds really like what I've been looking for. And I went back to Barcelona. It took a month or so, and then I applied for it. And and then I was waiting, of course, for being accepted. And it was a bit challenging, doing these moves while working in a big corporation, so trying to hide there, doing meetings and stuff. But that's how it went. So
So you never applied for the one in London at the end? You only applied for the one in Berlin? Okay.
Yeah, because I was still thinking about it, but then this friend of mine, she told me about the other one, and I was like, okay, I think this feels like the one I've been looking at. The other one was more creative, and this one was much more business oriented, and also so anyway, this was
what was the name of the master itself? So it was fashion sustainability related, both things? Or
the cool thing was that it was not just focused on the fashion industry, but also the creative industries. So we also touched base on gaming industry, also the real estate industry, or film. And so anything that we were, throughout these 2 years of the master's degree, any knowledge that we've been acquiring through the masters, it is applicable to any other creative industry. So let's say I do have friends that studied with me in the masters, and now they're working for non-fashion related companies. So that's a cool thing. It was fashion and creative industries, but of course 80 or 70% much more fashion than the rest.
Okay, makes sense. That's really nice, actually. When did you arrive to Berlin? 3 years ago? So it was
end of September 2019.
So it was pre-COVID.
Yeah. I only had one semester of the master's degree in person, then online.
The rest of the master, you did it online 100%? Okay. How was that? I mean, I suppose if you had a semester in the first, you had at least the opportunity to meet someone, but not meet them really deep. So
we were all expecting, okay, second semester, now we know each other more or less. Now we know how we work in groups.
Yeah, sure.
It was challenging. It was very challenging. Anyway, but we made it, and it was great. But I think it was challenging for everyone, for the professors, for us, and yeah.
You finalized some months ago. You didn't No,
No,
like,
I graduated. No, I graduated already a year ago,
oh,
more than a year ago. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
nice. I mean, that's 2 years master. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a
Almost.
typical amount of time, not for a master of this kind. Nice. And then what? I mean, you are a fashion designer from bachelor perspective, from a job experience. Now you can put an extra label onto your job title, let's say like this, with the sustainability consultant. What does that mean? What has changed for you? uh,
So, I mean, we still so the thing was that when we finished our masters, a really good friend of mine, that Sarah, that she's from South Africa, um, because of her master thesis, she was very well connected with different um, um, companies and institutions back in South Africa.
mhm,
And then she brought to me this opportunity of why not working as a, for I initially was like developing a workshop for a fashion university in South Africa, like a sustainability workshop,
mhm,
3 month sustainability online workshop. And that was really, really cool. We started developing this. And out of these, we ended up starting a new collaboration with them, with fashion retailers in South Africa. And now we are still working in this partnership with one of the biggest fashion retailers in South Africa. And we've been already, I think it was, this February, we did like 2 day intense workshop with them, with one of like 20 executives of this big corporation, and it was really, really cool. So I think this is just the very beginning of our journey.
mhm.
We've both been trying to find our way in the industry, but it hasn't been the easiest. And I think if you want to be in this space, it feels like those that are doing the coolest, that they have the coolest jobs, or that they're working for the best companies, it seems to me that they just started something. It was like, I cannot find it, then I'm going to make and create this thing. So that's how I feel. It's very, a very smooth transition what we're doing, Sarah and I, and we complement each other very well. So for now, we're just starting our journey in sustainability as a sustainable consultants.
So you're thinking more like right now your idea is more going into the direction of like consulting companies, like giving them tips and giving them workshops, giving them the knowledge on how to become more sustainable in what already they are doing, what they want to do, maybe possibility also with new brands, maybe with new people. Um,
And new business opportunities, like helping them to understand the opportunities that the circular economy can unlock. So I think it's much broader, of course, than just than just looking at textiles and improving certain logistics or processes during production. It's much bigger than that. But for us, it's just a starting point for now. And also, I really don't want to just put aside my fashion design background. For me, it's like I believe there's a way to bring these two things together. For now, it seems like in the industry, fashion designers are me fashion designers, and then
mhm.
another spectrum of people coming from different industries. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a very exciting and challenging journey, but I feel that I really want to explore my creative side in different projects, and that's something that I'm starting finally now. So we'll see.
But it's eventually like a change itself because you are not creating collections anymore. Right? You are not designing the clothes or the patterns as they should appear in the next collection of whatever brand in the next season. You are just
Challenging this perspective,
exactly.
actually. I was just part of the job, the work that we're doing is, helping renewing this mindset.
Mm-hmm.
The industry, we should again reimagine our industry, not only fashion. Of course, fashion is one of the, I mean, it's just thinking different ways of working, of acting, of doing things. And then on top of that, the fashion industry has a lot of gaps to, in there. So I think we just need to start working and improving our industry. And
you think Berlin fits in this environment in the sense of like there is things going on right now?
Yes, and finally now, because pandemic has been really tough here, and it was pre-pandemic, sustainability in fashion was, growing momentum, and then pandemic hit, and then everything. Yeah, well, I don't want to go into this topic, but anyway, now there are more and more events happening, more initiatives, and definitely Berlin is far more advanced than Barcelona. I can say that. But then London is far more advanced. London or even Copenhagen are much more advanced than Berlin as well, from what I've seen so far. Yes.
Oh,
but it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be. Yeah.
It's a good spot. I imagine it's also a good time. Like you would, I mean, I don't know if COVID has stopped a lot of this discussion itself, like sustainability. I mean, it was a really big topic. Then pandemic came and more or less took all the topics out of the table. We were only talking about COVID in general. But I think it's a good moment. No, also like if you take the perspective of how much we talk about sustainability in general, not even in clothes itself or the ethical behind buying from some small shops or from small brands rather than buying from big fashion corporations, let's say like that. It's a
moment of change in a way.
Exactly. You were not discussing this 15 years ago.
No. And it's interesting because Sarah and I, we oftentimes have these discussions of, how challenging it is, this and that. And then we think of like, I even last week, I met some people that they've been pushing and trying to implement circularity in fashion for 10 years. What's circularity? So sustainability, but also what we see now right now as circularity or understand circularity. And they were like, we've been here in this space for 10 years. Finally, we are here, we've been fighting for this. And I'm like, woof, I cannot imagine, how it was. If I still feel that we are very far behind and that that things are not at the pace that they should go. Yes, just imagine 10 years ago. So, yeah.
So going a little bit out of the professional and studying thing, how it was entering to Berlin life. You knew London from a perspective of more like getting easy adapted to a city, let's say like that. You came back to Barcelona, which is rather really small compared to Berlin or London in both extension and amount of people living in there and amount of things going on. Barcelona is a cool city. I'm not saying that in the sense of a lot of things are happening, but I suppose London and Berlin, when you're living there, it's much more like inputs coming from everywhere, like things that you can do at the same time. Well, during COVID, probably not, but now that things are going back a little bit, how was that for you? How was the arriving to Berlin movement?
It was really, I think probably, and that's why you even mentioned it earlier, like that my experience and Franca's experience, Berlin experience is very different because he was already working here and I was, moving to a new country, but also to study, to start again the student life. So that's different. And I think if you go to any other country, just being there as a student is very different. And we've already been talking about this. But of course, then was like, wow, when I was in London, I've heard many times some of my friends saying, hey, Berlin, it feels like East London. So if you ever go to Berlin, you'll see that, this vibe that you really liked of East London is very much in Berlin. I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But that's how I felt. So we arrived late September and then that autumn, winter was like, I can see that. I can see so many things happening. Also, back then, 2019, end of 2019, the demonstrations, the Fridays for Future demonstration, Greta Thunberg, and so on, were very, very strong here. And Berlin has such a strong community. I don't know. There were so many things happening. It was like a very exciting times, and I felt like this is, and also with the Brexit and so on, Berlin felt like this is the new epicenter of Europe, and you can see that in terms of multiculturalism, cultural events, and so on. So it felt like wow, an explosion of things, and then COVID arrived and
exploded really.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, so that was it. But then I have to say, fortunately, right now I'm starting to have the same feeling as when we arrived here, when we moved here. So, but now.
Yeah, I mean, it took some time for sure. Yeah. Everything to go back. I don't even think anything will go 100% back to what it used to be behind before the COVID. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to start seeing the scores with people grabbing a beer, playing music, doing some stuff in all the cities, I think.
Sometimes it's just simple things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So would you say that the most hard part of moving Berlin was COVID and the quarantine itself, or there is some other things that have been harder than that?
I think, quarantine, to be honest, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was stuck in Barcelona, so that doesn't count, and that's a different story. But yes, the second wave and winter, like it is not the easiest, as you know, in Germany, especially from January to April. But other than that, I don't think, if I have to say one of the most difficult things of moving to Germany, specifically Germany, I think it's the language barrier for me. I do speak, I don't know, 4 or 5 languages, but I don't speak German. I can now understand, I can manage to survive, but I think not being able to fully connect with the locals and the local community, especially those that do not speak English at all, that's been and still challenging. So that's one of the things I feel like I'm missing so many things. And so yeah.
I know the sensation. For per two, German and Greek. It's both of the languages are super challenging, are super difficult to learn. But yeah, I mean, I understand. I think it's a recurrent thing. To be honest, in the podcast, a lot of people are talking about language barriers, and yeah, I don't know. It's part of the process, I think, to move in a new country. Of course, when you go to London, for example, or where you go to South America, in the sense of Spanish speakers, it's so easy. No, it's whatever. If you had a good education in English, for example, it's done.
Yeah, it's done. It's like the jump is almost like one, just one, a little step. It's not a giant leap, and it feels like, and as you said, like these languages, like Greek or like German, they're not, it's not like, I can easily, I don't know, like Italian or French. Even if you don't speak the language, it's easy for you to sort of manage and find your way and kind of understand what probably they're saying to you. But in German, yeah, take some time and many hours of studying. So it's not easy. And then if you're new in this country, you also want to explore different things and learn other stuff. And if you're studying your master's, then and ours was in English, you don't have time. So I didn't prioritize this. So that's, to me, still one of the hardest things of living here.
Makes sense. On the contrary, what do you love from Berlin? What do you love from Germany? What is the thing that you say, okay, wow, this is amazing?
from like one of my favorite things here in Berlin is I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but like serendipitous moments, so just this sort of like magical encounters with random people that for instance, like the other day we were at the Vermeer's exhibition, the friend that Franca mentioned, and we ended up meeting this guy, like very cultivated and charming man in his late 80s, and he I don't know even where to. I mean, he even said that he knew Princess Sofia of Spain, and he was not joking. We ended up having like an hour conversation with this guy. It was, I don't know. I think I cannot make it. I cannot transfer or summarize what this experience meant to us, but it was, yeah, just magical. That was insane. And then also, I don't know, like one day I ended up dancing with one of my favorite singers, Ellen Oyer from Cues of Convenience, in an after party of an Alice Villu concert. And I was not expecting this. I was expecting, going to that concert and then going back home. But then she was like, yeah, now we're going to have this party. And I was there and it felt so normal. And I was like, oh, wow. When I was 16 years old, I have a picture with this guy, one of my favorite singers. And now I'm here just like dancing with him as if, we were just like, yeah, just, strangers. And then also another one was in a climate change demonstration.
Mm.
It was probably one of these Fridays for the Future. I ended up meeting like the founder of a really, really cool magazine called Lisom. And yeah, she just wanted to take a photograph of a friend of mine. And then I ended up talking to her, and we had many friends in common and friends in industry. I was like, wow, I would never ever thought that I would meet, such an interesting person here, just, at this demonstration with millions of people. So I don't know. I feel this is, to me, these magical encounters is something that I've been definitely enjoying a lot here in Berlin. Of course, I've had other encounters in different cities, but I feel that here in Berlin is like, wow, it happens so often. And I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's nice that inside of certain circles of people, the strangers become less strangers, let's say like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a vibe that in Berlin happens somehow. I think, and people understand Berlin like a place of multiculturality, of multiple things. And if someone is here to Fridays for Future demonstration, it's because they want, and they are having, you already have something in common with that person because you are already there. So this strangersness, it's okay, but it's going into the direction of, okay, like we have something in common. There is a base already here. So we can become something more than just strangers, and it's cool. Did you have any experience in the other way around, like where strangers people are really strange uh, in Berlin? Because of course there is, like in any big city, there is this kind of stranger people doing strange things in the streets also. So
I've seen that, and I think I see every once in a week. I see a strange person doing something really weird. I cannot remember right now. Yes, sometimes very disgusting things I've seen, but and sometimes just like what things
what
that I'm
just
like,
happened? Yeah.
what just happened? And yes, but still, I think it's part of the, I don't know, call it charm. I don't know. It's like part of Berlin, the identity of Berlin. The fact, I think someone mentioned this to me recently. The fact that no one really cares about you. No one really cares about how you look,
Mm.
and therefore you can dress in any. I don't know. You could even be naked, that no one will be judging you or how you look. So I feel this is beautiful, and at the same time, it's a bit sad to me at the same time that no one really cares about you. There's like, oh, no one here. But I don't feel it this way. I feel it more like the beautiful part of it, like anything, anyone, is accepted. So yeah, and I think that's why barriers are, turned down, like removed. It's like, as you said, strangers or you being in front of one of your favorite singers and you don't even feel like this friend of like, oh wow. No, it's like, just, let it go. It is another person, another human being. That's it.
So you don't take it as a threat, or it's not, has been never like a moment of like you feel in danger or like whatever?
No, I've never been scared. It's like, this person is doing his own or her own thing. So, let it, that's it. And I've never felt threatened or anything like that, fortunately.
Oh, that's nice. I think we need to do a second break because of the timing thingy, but I would suggest that we just do this quick break now, and then we come back and close with the two typical questions of the Ausländer final questions of the episode. So we will be just back in a second. I just want to use this really last and short break of this episode to remember to all the audience that there is still some NFTs available from the first season episodes of The Ausländer at uncut.fm/The Ausländer podcast. So if you're interested in collaborating with this podcast and give a little bit of support, but also becoming an owner of one of the episodes of the podcast itself, plus the benefits that it has to buy an NFT through uncut.fm, go and check it out through the links that are posted here below. So, last minutes of the episode, we are back with Laura. So we were just talking now about the life in Berlin, the kind of nice things, bad things. I always ask these two last questions to close the episodes. The first one is, what would you recommend to anyone who wants to come to live to Berlin? Or if you have any recommendation about London, also more than welcome. If there is anyone listening that wants to come to these cities, what you would say to them?
Okay, but in terms of like places to visit or anything, like
whatever you feel it's important to be or to know or to discover, maybe like it can be an area of the city, it can be just a recommendation on how to find a flat. I don't know.
I would just say, just like, do not get stuck. Just don't go only around your neighborhoods, because Berlin, every single neighborhood, it's very different. It almost feels like different cities within a city. So I feel like just like take a bicycle or just walk around and get lost around Berlin. I know it's huge. It's not like Barcelona, you go from one place to another in half an hour. But just go get lost and every week explore different places. I think I would highly, highly recommend anyone doing this, just getting lost, because it's beautiful and yeah, and you see different kind of communities, different types of people around the city. And I think to me and I'm still doing this, like in winter, in summer, just every other day, and just walking around and exploring other neighborhoods. And I still have a long way to go. There's some parts of Berlin that I've only been once, and it's very easy to just get to know your neighborhoods, be in this bubble. But I think I would just, I think this is a really good way to get to know more people and to get to know and fully understand the city. Yeah,
makes sense. It's cool. The second question also, I suppose, do you have any personal, non-personal friends, known project that you want to share and you want to use this space to promote?
So right now, I mean, because I've already mentioned them, and I happen to have right now next to me two of the magazines. Anyone who's interested in sustainability and sustainability in fashion as well, I would highly, highly recommend to just check the listen. So these beautiful magazines, they only have 3 of them. It's mostly digital, but they once a year they print their magazines, and it's such a unique. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't consider it a magazine. It's more like a book, beautiful book, plenty of poetry, a lot of very interesting discussions around topics, sometimes again related to fashion, but not necessarily, and beautiful imagery. I don't know. I think it's a very, very nice project, and I know a daughter who's the founder, and yeah, I don't know. I think I would, just recommend anyone to check the website or Instagram. It's such a wonderful project, and they are very much in contact with designers in Spain, mostly based in Barcelona and the Balearic Islands. So yes, I don't know, if you're from Spain as well, I think it's you're just worth to take a look. It's a very, very cool project. Another friends I'm so sorry because just right now I cannot think of a. I mean, Juanca already mentioned Bermibus, which and we were yesterday at the closing of his solo exhibition here in Berlin. Although the exhibition is no longer active, I would highly recommend to just check his work. He's wonderful, and also a bit of promotion about something that I'm working on.
Sure.
That's okay, because I'm about to have a meeting right after this call. There's one project that I'm working with a friend of mine that it's going to happen by mid-July in Barcelona, and it's a really, really small project right now, just like working with family and friends. But it's called El Nido, like the nest, and we're going to do a collaboration between El Nido and me as Time Hive, which is my platform in which I deliver content about bees and the world of bees. So it's going to be a very immersive experience, understanding the world of bees and the honeys. I don't know, it's really going to be very, like, almost like a first iteration of this collaborative project. But if you want to check out, we have Instagram. I can share it, like El Nido. Let me double check. It's called El Nido Archive. You can follow us, and we'll soon share some information. And another, because I don't know when this podcast is going to be released. Maybe this is too soon, but then another one, it's going to happen in October. So 15th of October is finally the new edition of Barcelona Honey Fest. Which is again related to bees, but I'm one of the members of this beautiful family called Barcelona Honey Fest, and it's an event dedicated to the world of bees. And we do this is, I think, our 4th edition of the festival, and it's in El Parc de la Ciutadella in Barcelona, near the main entrance. And also I recommend you to check our Instagram, website, and we'll soon be sharing more information about the new edition. But it's really, really cool festival for kids, for families, for anyone who's interested in, buying local products from local farmers. And again, it's not just honey, other products related to honeybees, but also about education, understanding the world of bees and other projects. And we'll soon be sharing more information.
Cool. All of this information will be definitely in the posts and the description, so you can follow all the accounts. Of course, there will be the stories related with it about the Honeyfest festival in Barcelona. Actually, this episode, it's now released on Wednesday. This Honeyfest is happening on this Saturday, so you should go this Saturday exactly to the Honeyfest if you are one of the listeners who are in Barcelona. If you are not, just follow them on Instagram. But it's this Saturday. It's happening this Saturday. So We are, of course, being transparent. We are recording this in advance. Laura didn't know when it's the release date of the episode, but it happens that actually this episode is just released during the week that the Honey Fest of Barcelona happens. So if you want to check it out, just go this Saturday to Parque de la Ciutadella. Is it?
Yeah, and it's for free. So just,
Yeah,
go for a walk, explore the park, and then we'll be there with some music and lovely people, and yeah,
a lot of honey.
It's a really, really cool festival, very small festival, but out of a really nice intention behind it. So really cool. I'll be there.
Go and try some honey. Go and meet Laura also there. I had some of the honey from the Honey Fest festival, some of the small pots with different flavors of honey, and it's really incredible to taste out not only the typical honey that you can buy, but different, and see how the process really works and understand more about beekeeping and how to take care of these lovely animals also. So yeah, as I said, all the recommendations will be in the descriptions, in the posts, in the stories of Instagram, in Facebook. So Laura, thank you so much for taking the time.
It's been amazing, really.
I'm really, really happy that that you bring also your perspective of Berlin besides Franca. And yeah, I hope we will see each other soon. Again, thanks for taking the time to be in the podcast, and it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.